What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Basketball this week, presented by District of Buckets. If you are a CJ McCollum owner, a Nurkic owner, or a Derek White owner, hit the like button. If you are a Steph Curry owner, a LeBron James owner, or some other guy that got hurt that could really help your team owner, hit the subscribe button because you're going to need a lot of help here in the future. If you own none of those guys, comment down below how bad your team is because chances are you're not winning, all right? Or if you did win your game, comment GG too easy down below. As always, let's roll the tape and get right into all of the goodness today. Once again, welcome back to Fantasy Basketball this week, presented by District of Buckets. I am Tyler Castle here with my boy Carl Baltimore, and together we are your lead fantasy basketball analyst at District of Buckets. Today, we got all of the goodness that you always expect from us. We got your strength of schedule. We got your waiver wire pickups for this week. We got your waiver wire pickups for just wholesome goodness. And then we got your buy low, sell high candidates. And then we're going to thank you guys because honestly, we love you. And we always want to show our appreciation. So before it gets too sus in here, let's get right into the action. We're going to talk strength of schedule. Carl, why don't you sit back, take a breather, and let me roll through it. All right, here we go. As you guys know, the best way to maximize your acquisitions is by picking up players that are going to pick up back-to-backs. And so every day of the week, you find a team that has a back-to-back, you pick up that waiver wire guy, you stream them, and then you kick them to the curb right after. So who are we talking about on Monday, Tuesday? We got two back-to-backs. Last week, we had 2 days, no back-to-backs. This week, back-to-back starting every day. You'll be all right. Monday, Tuesday, you got the Los Angeles Clippers and the Washington Wizards. I know which team you're thinking about already picking up your waiver wire guy from, but don't get ahead of yourself. Tuesday, Wednesday, we got Phoenix. We got the Suns. Wednesday, Thursday, we got Brooklyn, Detroit, Miami, and San Antonio. Tuesday and Friday, back-to-backs, we got Atlanta, Charlotte, Golden State, and New Orleans. Friday, Saturday, we got a bunch of them. Pick your pick of the litter. We got Dallas, Indiana, Milwaukee, Minnesota, New York Knicks, Oklahoma City, Portland, Sacramento, and Utah. So basically, you could close your eyes, pick a waiver wire guy, and you'd be good. Saturday, Sunday, we're talking Orlando and Philly only. Okay? So let's get into the waiver wire guys you should be picking up for the strength of schedule. I know I'm a little high on energy. That's just because I boofed a little ketamine before this. I didn't actually do that. Calm down. Monday, Tuesday, we're talking Clippers and Washington. And I know what you're thinking. You're going to pick up a guy from the Clippers. Who are you going to pick up? Looking from the list, there's a couple of guys that could be great options. We're talking Zubac. I mean, the guy is a consistent 25 piece. That's 50 points that you wouldn't have had. Talking Nicholas Batum, who everybody seemed to have had high hopes for at the beginning of the season, and it's kind of fallen off a little bit. And then there's always guys like Marcus Morris Sr. that you could pick up, especially with Serge Ibaka being there. Onto the Wizards. There's a couple of guys you could pick up off the Wizards. And the guy that we normally talk about that you should pick up off the Wizards is Rui Hachimura, who is now owned in 57.7% of leagues. So congratulations to Rui Hachimura.
No, we finally above the threshold for our waiver wire. Let's go.
Threshold. We could no longer talk about him, but he's probably still available in your league. So take a look at Rui Hachimura if he is available for that Monday, Tuesday back-to-back. Could be anywhere from a 20-piece to a 40-piece each day. So you just never know. You never know. Also, a pleasure to watch. You love when the Carl, I know you love when the announcer says "Konnichiwa" every time he dunks.
We need to get rid of Kutcher.
He needs to get booed.
He needs to go back to the dog show. That's what he thrived there. I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed it. He needs to go back to the dog show.
And then there's a little bit of a sleeper pick here on the Washington Wizards, Daniel Gafford. Carl, I know you love the guy. Why don't you just talk about him for a second?
All right, so Daniel Gafford, there's a recent trade between the Wizards and the Bulls that saw Daniel Gafford come to DC in exchange for Mo Wagner, Sorry, let's run this back. Sorry. All right. And now, all right, yeah. So, Daniel Gafford recently came to the Wizards from Chicago via trade at the deadline. And I love the guy and the way that he fits in the lineup. And you should too, as a fantasy owner, especially for this upcoming back-to-back. And if you have, maybe a deeper league, consider him for just a regular roster ad. Basically, he's a rim-running big, athletic, rebounds, block shots, dunks, you name it. The Wizards have not had this type of guy all year. Now they're throwing any center they can at this point to try to play, try to be the rim protector. They haven't had a guy that even really has the ability to do so, and now they finally do. So in this type of back-to-back, you're going to see Daniel Gafford, I feel like, really start to acclimate himself into the lineup. He played pretty well in his first game. I loved everything that I saw out of him. He's just a great guy to play alongside like Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. Mops up a lot of shots. Also, they can get him for those lobs. He's really athletic. I've said that multiple times, but he's a guy that you really want to keep an eye on because he might be a steal if he finds a way to take more minutes, more center minutes in the Wizards rotation. And Tyler mentioned to me earlier that he was the most efficient of the bigs that rotated in his first game in Washington. And that's really what you want there. And so you're getting efficient center minutes, and Gafford's your guy.
Absolutely. We're going to move on to the Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-backs. Phoenix Suns, they're the only team. And who are we looking at? There's basically one guy you should be looking at unless you're in super deep leagues. Jay Crowder. Over his last 15 days is averaging 23.9. There you go. That is 47.8 fantasy points that you didn't have if you did not pick up this back-to-back guy. Wednesday, Thursday, we're looking at a couple of teams, Brooklyn, Detroit, Miami, and San Antonio Spurs. What can we say about the Brooklyn Nets other than fuck them? You got guys like Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, Claxton, Jeff Green. There's this guy who went to my college, Alize Johnson, just in his 10-day contract debut, just put up a quick 23 and 15 burger. I mean, what are you going to do with that guy? But the main guys we're looking at are Blake Griffin, who over his last couple games with the Nets has played 20 minutes, 19 minutes, 15 minutes, and somewhat efficient. DeAndre Jordan himself has played similar minutes, averaging about similar points. Those are guys that you could look at for the Nets. Moving on to Detroit, we got guys like Sadiq Bey, ? Over his last three, put up a 31. A what?
What's his ownership?
He is owned in 19.2% of leagues.
Ooh, that might be a little too low.
Yeah, so deeper leagues. Heads up on this guy. 31 points, 33 points, and 10 fantasy points. I'm talking fantasy points here. Over his last three games, and has played a ton of minutes. So many minutes. Other guys you can look out for are the ever-famous Josh Jackson if you're in a category league, good for steals. And then the recently acquired Hamidou Diallo. In his debut, he played 19 minutes. He rested yesterday against the Wizards. And he could be coming back soon with a vengeance. There's a bunch of guys on Detroit you can look at, but those are the main guys we're looking at. As for Miami, with the newly acquired Victor Oladipo, how does that look for the guards, you're asking? Well, it's not going to affect much because Victor Oladipo plays like one every 3 games. So we're looking at guys like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. Actually, Tyler Hero is owned in 85% of leagues. Too high.
Yeah.
But Duncan Robinson, who is only owned in 43.6% of leagues, just came off of a 37 fantasy point performance against Charlotte. There's always Kendrick Nunn, especially because Goran Dragic is out again. Who could have thunk it? But he is, I mean, God, when he plays and Goran Dragic does not play, it is insane what kind of production he gets. So definitely keep an eye out for Kendrick Nunn on that Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back. Moving on to the San Antonio Spurs on the Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back, our favorite team to pick up waiver wire guys from because of guys like Jakob Poeltl, who we talk about every week and who we recently just learned how to pronounce his name. Derek White, who's a guy that tons of people have been super high on since the beginning of fantasy season, and he is putting it together over his last 4 games. 44 fantasy points, 23 fantasy points, 23 F points, and then 40 F points against Chicago. And then there's Patty Mills if you're in deeper leagues. And then Rudy Gay if you're in super deeper leagues. We're going to move into Thursday, Friday. Now there's a ton. Oh, nope, still 4 teams that play back-to-backs Thursday, Friday. And the first of them is Atlanta. So who are we looking at for Atlanta? Not Lou Will. Not Gallinari, unless you're in deeper leagues. Huerter? No, we're not looking at him either. We're looking at guys like Bogdan Bogdanovic, who is owned in, 35% of leagues, and who is finally starting to put fantasy points up on the board. He was hurt at the beginning of the season. I drafted him. It was a huge disappointment. I'm sure he's been told that by many Twitter users, but the guy's finally putting it together a little bit, coming off of a couple 23-point performances, 43 fantasy point performance. Could be a guy that you're looking at off Atlanta. As for Charlotte on the Thursday, Friday back-to-back, Terry Rozier owners can rejoice. LaMelo Ball is out for the foreseeable future, and that means Terry Rozier is going to get a bulk of that production, and it shows in his roster percentage, owned in 98% of leagues. But that's also good for people like Devontae Graham. Devontae Graham doubles as a point guard for the Charlotte Hornets and has been absolutely hooping. Also, not a guy you should worry about on the waiver wires. Malik Monk is somebody you could look out for. He's resting today on Sunday. He's got foot issues, but is probably going to be back later this week. Not a guy you should worry about sitting out with injury. He should be fine. And then there's Cody Zeller if you're in deeper leagues. And let's see, is Brad Wanamaker going to get any minutes? He is absolutely not. That is ridiculous. Best free throw shooter last year, deserves to be on the court. We're moving into Golden State Warriors Thursday, Friday, back-to-back. We're looking at people like James Wiseman, owned in 51% of leagues, has come back, done pretty well. He had that one hiccup against Sacramento where he only had 2 fantasy points, but in his last performance against Atlanta, he put up 26 fantasy points. Jordan Poole, who's been an absolute savior for the Golden State Warriors as of recently, is playing upwards of 30 minutes a game. In his last 15 days, he is averaging 29 fantasy points and is only owned in 28.2% of leagues. And with Steph Curry being out, he's going to continue to see that type of production at least until the end of this week when Steph Curry does return. There's Eric Paschall. If you were in deeper leagues, he's not playing a ton of minutes. And then, of course, Juan Toscano-Anderson, Damian Lee. Those guys are all good options if you were in much, much deeper leagues. New Orleans Pelicans is going to be the last team we talk about for the Thursday, Friday back-to-backs. There's a couple guys we like on there. Josh Hart is one of them, especially if you're in categories leagues and need a rebounder out of a guard. And we've talked about it before. Absolutely just like nuts guard rebound numbers. Over
like 8 or something a game?
Over his last 7, it's 10.5.
10.5 over the last 7.
Yeah, so that's a guy that we're looking at off of the New Orleans Pelicans. And holy shit, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, over his last 7 days, is playing 34 minutes a game, averaging 18, 5, 2.5, 1, 1. Oh my God, he's been going off. Over his last 15 days, he's averaging 28.4 fantasy points per game. Not something I expected to see when I clicked on that. Definitely going to have to look more into him because Lonzo Ball is currently out and is questionable for tomorrow's game, Monday's game. And that is cause for concern. So if you're looking at picking up a guy off New Orleans Pelicans, probably available in deeper leagues. He's only owned 15.4% of leagues. That is a guy that you could look out for off of your waiver wire. Friday, Saturday, man, this is going to be a long one. We got a ton of teams playing Friday, Saturday, back-to-backs, but we're here to hook you guys up. I'm not going to put all the names on because that's a ridiculous amount of work. So you guys are going to have to deal with this, but you're getting a wealth of knowledge from the District of Buckets lead fantasy basketball analyst who just got done boofing ketamine. So who are we looking at off of the Dallas Mavericks? We're looking at Jalen Brunson, who seems like every other game. He has a good game. Over his last 3 games, he's averaging over 30 minutes per game, 30 and a half minutes per game, 13 and a half, 5, 3, playing pretty well over his last 7, and could be a guy that you look out for, only owned in 11% of leagues. Indiana's Friday, Saturday, back-to-back. We're looking at people like TJ McConnell, as always. Dude has been, over the last 7 days, is 27.3 minutes, still playing a lot of minutes, 10 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.5 steals. Just absolutely love to see that out of a waiver wire guy. If he is available in your league and you are streaming a guy, TJ McConnell is the way to go. There's also Justin Holiday, who does the same thing, is back and forth. So a guy you could look at if you were in deeper leagues. Moving on to Milwaukee. Holy Jesus, we still got way more teams to cover. We're looking at not Bobby Portis because he's out. COVID protocols. He's going to sit for a while. Maybe PJ Tucker? ? Welcome to Milwaukee. Pick him up off the waivers? I don't know. That is a guy that you should pay extra close attention to at the beginning of the week and see if he's a valuable spot or a valuable pickup for your end of the week back-to-back. So not a lot of options on Milwaukee. Moving into Minnesota, D'Angelo Russell is still out, getting back to on-court activities last week. And so that is cause for concern for Ricky Rubio owners, who's owned in 67% of leagues. But as of now, keep grinding Ricky Rubio out. The dude he's putting up 28-ish points a game, or fantasy points a game. Not heavily reliant on his scoring, more reliant on his assists and his steals. Definitely a good guy for category leagues. But could be a sell high candidate with D'Angelo Russell returning. There's also Naz Reid if you were in deeper leagues. Also, Malik Beasley's coming back soon. Am I wrong or am I right? He's back.
Yeah, he is back.
Yesterday.
Yeah, first game was a little bit of a hiccup, but he's been a little rusty. I mean, he hasn't been playing, obviously, going through the suspension. So kind of mentioned him last week as a potential buy low guy because I feel like those, a lot of guys take some time to get back into a groove. It's the Timberwolves. Like he'll find his way back, I feel like.
Yep. Definitely a good buy low candidate. And as I'm looking at the Timberwolves roster on ESPN, there's an option to add Kevin Garnett. So if you're in super, super, super deep leagues, the joke's over. I'm not going to say it.
Moving on in the comments, not realize that was a joke.
Yeah. Don't pick up Kevin Garnett. I lost my fantasy week because I thought Kevin Garnett was going to play. All right. Calm down, 12-year-olds. Just kidding. We love all of our fans, especially the ones that comment because you guys are the best. All right. Moving on. New York Knicks. Who are we looking at? Derrick Rose is back. Welcome back. He had a brief stint with an injury. Played 29 minutes yesterday against Milwaukee. Had 24 fantasy points. Definitely good looks from him. Alec Burks is performing over his last 15 days. averaging 34 fantasy points a game. Oh my God, Alec Burks.
You got Nerlens on that list?
He is only owned in 41.7% of leagues. Is that what you said?
I said, do we have Nerlens on the list?
We absolutely have Nerlens on the list because Mitchell Robinson is out again. Sorry, Mitchell, but Nerlens is stepping it up, he's averaging about 33 fantasy points over his last 3 games. Just absolutely a guy you love. And let's check in on my boy Emmanuel quickly. All right. So probably should have been Rookie of the Year if he would have gotten picked up by like anybody else. But
Literally any other.
The Knicks refused to play the man. Just kidding. Over his last 2 games, playing 26 minutes per game, averaging 28 fantasy points in those last 2. I love you, Emmanuel. Quickly, if he's available in deeper leagues, you must pick him up. Like I'm talking probably 12-team leagues and higher. 12 teams is a little bit of a stretch. Maybe like 14, but definitely a guy I am super high on and is going to be a force to be reckoned with in future fantasy basketball seasons. Oklahoma City Thunder. We're getting close to the end of this Friday, Saturday back-to-back. Oklahoma City Thunder, let me tell you who you're picking up, and it's not even a question. Moses Brown. Okay? The dude built the boat, and he is sailing his fantasy points across the flood. And that reference doesn't make any sense. But what I'm saying, the sentiment is still there. Over his last 3 games, 31 fantasy points, 50 fantasy points, 43 fantasy points over more than 30 minutes a game, which is a great sign because the only worry that Moses Brown owners had about him was that he was constantly fouling out. He could not stop fouling people, and he seemed to have overcome that. Sorry, I'm down here picking up a pen. But Moses Brown is the guy you're picking up because Al Horford is sitting the rest of the year. Old man Al. So pick up Moses Brown immediately. Like as you're watching this video, pause the video, comment down below. I'm picking up Moses Brown at the moment. Go pick him up and then come back and then reply to that same comment and say, I just picked up Moses Brown. Other guys you can look out for. I was going to let you talk about Theo. How's that?
Theo Maladon. French, you know, he's a 19-year-old Frenchman out here balling out in OKC. Well, with the SGA injury, there's a whole lot of opportunity for him as a guard down there. And what you're looking at right now, so last 5 games or so, either 20, 26, 24, a down game with 10, and then 44 fantasy points in his last game. But what you really love to see is his minutes. So in the last 7 days, he's averaging 33.5 minutes per game. And so throughout the season, it's been about 25, 26. And you've seen that uptick since SGA went down. And what obviously we've been seeing, at least over the last week or so, has been he's going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of having SGA sidelined indefinitely. I don't know exactly I don't know if there's been any giant update on SGA yet, but I know it's supposed to be quite some time, right?
The top thing is from March 24th, and it says he'll miss a significant amount of time as he batters plantar fasciitis.
Yeah, and that's
which is TJ Warren almost the entire season. So
yeah, it's probably beneficial for OKC just to rock with Theo Maladon. And so I'm a big believer in his potential over the next couple weeks.
Yeah. Moving on into Portland for the Friday, Saturday back-to-backs. I know we've covered a ton of them, but stick with me. We got people like Carmelo Anthony, who we talk about what seems like every week. He's pretty much every minute is a fantasy point. That's what you're going to get out of him. And unfortunately, he has seen a decrease in minutes. But if he is available in deeper leagues, could be worth a look, even though he's owned in 51% of leagues, which is currently too high just because of the CJ McCollum coming back, Norman Powell being traded there. There's just not as much opportunity. Same way with Derek Jones Jr. is just not going to see as many minutes as he was before. But Nurkic owners and McCollum owners like myself are finally rejoicing. Welcome back. Welcome back, fellas. Moving on to Sacramento for the Friday-Saturday back-to-back. Who are we looking at? Hassan Whiteside, question mark? Now that Marvin Bagley is out. Very interesting development, but Richaun Holmes seems to be taking on a bulk of that production, playing over 30 minutes a game. If Hassan Whiteside returns from his absence, he had a right knee soreness on Saturday. If he returns from that, he could be seeing some decent minutes on the Sacramento Kings games. Moving on into our our last Friday, Saturday, back-to-back, the Utah Jazz. We're looking at Bojan Bogdanovic, owned in 56.5% of leagues. It goes up and down what seems like every game. Like it's very clear right here. He played Memphis in back-to-back nights. First night, 17 points. Second night, 3 points. So it's a toss-up with Bogdan, but there's safer plays on that team, like Royce O'Neal, who's more of a consistent 20-piece. Definitely a guy that you should be on the lookout for. And then there's Derek Favors, who's probably another consistent 20-piece. Shout out to Jordan Clarkson, who is always will be a bucket. All right, finally, Saturday, Sunday back-to-backs. We got two teams, and then we're going to move into general waiver wire pickups that Carl's going to be taking the helm of, and we're looking at Orlando. Who the hell should we pick up off Orlando? I know that's what you're asking me. And the most rostered person. So Orlando has to be the least rostered team in all of fantasy because their most rostered person is Terrence Ross, sitting at 47%. Whew, that is a tough look, but it means there's plenty of opportunity for a guy, Wendell Carter Jr., who they speak very, very highly of down in Orlando. He's going to be the starting center once he gets out of his transfer protocols or whatever, as well as Otto Porter Jr., who will be playing a significant amount of minutes on this Orlando team. And then there's always guys, James Ennis. He is just taking place of some people while they're still moving people around. But yeah, not a lot of people to look at on the Orlando Magic at the moment, aside from Wendell Carter and Otto Porter, who are owned in less than 45% leagues. And then Saturday, Sunday, we got the Philadelphia 76ers, our last team that I'm personally going to be talking about. We're looking at Seth Curry, as always, especially if you're in a category league, 3-point nightmare for other teams. And then Dwight Howard, who is taking on the opportunity since Joel Embiid is out over his last over his last 5 games. He's averaging about 18 fantasy points a game. And that is who we're looking at. So those are the guys that are going to win you or lose you your fantasy basketball week. And I suggest that you take them when they are on the start of their back-to-backs. Lots of options, but I hope we can narrow it down enough for you so we can see who's available in whose league, deeper leagues, shallower leagues, whatever. We hope that helped you guys out. But Carl is going to take over on who you should be looking at as general ads, regardless of back-to-backs, regardless of schedule. These are guys that you should be looking at to pick up no matter what.
All right. Well, I'm going to bunch actually a couple of these guys together. I'm going to start with the OKC guys, Moses Brown and Bayo Maladon, just because, if you made it to this point, you understand that opportunity for these guys is high. They're playing pretty well in their roles. And you're looking at least in Maladon's case, not as much competition in his position. And that's a guy, as I said, over the last couple of games has shown some really promising trends in his minutes and finally had his second game over 22 actual basketball points, 44 fantasy points in his last game. Very promising for a guy that's only owned in 4.7% of leagues. So I would just keep an eye on that. Moses Brown is going to be a hot ticket. I feel like he had, he had a 2020 game. Was it last night? or a couple nights ago. It was something like that, and I just know that I saw his name
against Boston.
Yeah, so I saw his name basically plastered on Bleacher Report and everything. So his name is going to be a hot commodity, and he's a guy I would say, yeah, the space, go ahead and grab him right now. You know what the role is, and as I said also earlier, Al Horford now done for the year. Just the opportunity is there for the taking in OKC. The SGA's injury and Al Horford now sitting out, and so you want to hurry up and get those beneficiaries on your team as fast as possible. Second guy I'm talking about. You want to go? You're gonna add on or something, or?
Oh, go ahead.
The second guy I want to talk about, going back up to the district, talking about Daniel Gafford again. It's just the efficiency that he played with was higher than any other center, and it seems like, and then for that being his first game, like we're probably going to see an increase in minutes. I would almost bet my house that he's going to have an increase in minutes in the next couple of games, and if you can keep even, like 75% of that efficiency up, like I think his numbers are going to be pretty nice as someone you could essentially just grab for almost nothing. Like not a lot of fantasy teams had Daniel Gafford even on their radars right now. Could be a potential, like season-saving pickup in my opinion if his minutes even increase a little bit, just because he has so much of that role to take on, and it's really up in the air. And if he plays like he did last night, or his first game with the Wizards, like I think he's the guy. I would look at him. And then I have another group of guys I also want to talk about that I'm going to bunch together, the Magic guys. So I have Wendell Carter Jr., Terrence Ross to keep an eye out on, and also Otto Porter to keep an eye out on. Again, just because there's really nothing going on in Orlando. Really just nothing at all. And Terrence Ross is... What is it? Is he now one of the, if not the longest tenured guy? Is he longest tenured guy on the?
He's gotta be.
He's up there. Yeah, he's been there quite some time now in comparison to other people. But it's like, Terrence Ross, the Human Torch. I always believe. I like his game. He's going to have a way bigger role, especially now with Fournier gone, because Fournier did a whole bunch of scoring for them. So that's going to open up and split between a bunch of guys. Otto Porter, I think, will have games here and there. He's always been kind of an inconsistent, streaky guy. So, like, he'd be someone to monitor, maybe if he goes into good matchups. And Wendell Carter Jr. is a guy who said earlier that Orlando seemed to really like and will groom, I'm assuming, into that starting center role. So those are my guys that I would say to watch out for waivers.
Yep. And if we haven't made it very clear in past weeks, look at my hat. Who is the starting center in the last two games for this team? Is he on your roster?
Better be.
He better be. 2-0 with Robert Williams the third, Lob City, Robert Williams, the Time Lord at the 5. So I'm tired of preaching it. Still only owning 65% of leagues. I'm telling you right now, we have a ton of people asking in the comments, who should I pick up? Should it be Evan Fournier? Should it be Robert Williams? Should it be this guy? Should it be that guy? If Robert Williams is in the comment, that is the guy. Don't even bother asking. If you are in an 8-person league, Robert Williams is the waiver wire pickup that you need to have. All right, so we've had people ask, who should I pick up in deeper leagues? Who's the guy that's going to turn my season around in deeper leagues? And the answer, at least for this week, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Pick him up. That is your deeper league fantasy pickup. We're going to go over some buy low, sell high, just real quick like. We're going back again. Ricky Rubio is your sell high guy. D'Angelo Russell is coming back. I don't think that he'll be playing a ton of minutes as the Timberwolves round out their god-awful season. But that will take a significant amount of assist production from Ricky Rubio. Carl, who would you say is your sell high guy?
My sell high guy, big name here. And you're selling the name for trades. Just have to put that disclaimer on there. Kevin Durant.
Oh.
Selling Kevin Durant to make a move to try to grab, honestly, I'd say a top. If you have the trade pieces, try to grab a top, I don't know, 15-ish guy.
10.
my opinion. Just because I think you can sell his comeback with another guy to maybe try to make a jump for someone that I think commands more of their team. KD, I still think I'm not saying he's going to be good still. So if you don't feel like you can make that move, don't make that move. But also, they've shown that they're willing to rest this man for anything to get to the playoffs. And right now, the best selling point without a bunch of games, he's missing a bunch of games, is his name. And I really do think that there is some sucker in your league with a talented player that is willing to talented and someone producing more on a fantasy level than Kevin Durant right now, who is willing to bite at that name and give him up. I can't really think of players too much right now. That's going to depend on your league, I'd say. But I think that there's someone like that in every league right now. And I think Kevin Durant actually could be a guy you could use.
Absolutely, you should. My buy low candidate I just had in my head, and I remember now. Nurkic. Pick up Nurkic. Buy him low. He came back 2 games. He's played 19 minutes and 11 minutes as of now against Toronto. Only scored 18 fantasy points and then 13 fantasy points. He's going to produce way more than that. Aeneas Cancer has proven that he could be a decent 5 for the Trailblazers, but he is nothing compared to what Nurkic can be holding down the middle for the Portland Trailblazers. So I'm buying low on Jusuf Nurkic. Carl, who's your buy low?
So this is one that has a little bit of hype. It's kind of a stretch to even call a buy no, but Tyrese Halliburton, just because I feel like I've had some conversations with people who were asking me like guards to pick up in their fantasy league or whatever and weren't missing. And I've mentioned Tyrese Halliburton and they were just talking about how he's rotting away on some benches and stuff like that. Even though I feel like for the right team or the right value, he's a guy you can definitely plug in and play every single day. He's really stepped up his game recently. And he's my primary buy now of the week, buy low of the week. And actually another guy on the same team that I think right now is a very low time to get him. Actually, Harrison Barnes. So Harrison Barnes for a while, like gave us some pretty good streaks of games. Like I know there's 1 week of games where he like damn near averaged almost 50 fantasy points. He's a little bit low, like high 40s, like 48, 49. Like he had like a 46, 48 and 49 in 1 week, 31 right after that. And then kind of had some like slump of inconsistency. So he's had some like pretty low games right now due to low shooting. And I think this is a perfect time to buy him low because I think he's going to be able to get his way out of this shooting slump that he's in right now.
It's an interesting one. I will give a bonus buy low, sell high. I think this is going to round it out.
All right, let's do it.
Bonus. Andre Drummond, not now. Wait 1 week, maybe 2 weeks. Right before Anthony Davis comes back, right before the news breaks that Anthony Davis is returning to the lineup of the Lakers. Sell Andre Drummond high and get a good bang for your buck out of him because he's going to be he'll put up at least 3 20 and 20s. That's a bold statement, but
guaranteeing it.
I don't know. I can't guarantee. I'm guaranteeing it. I'm stamping it, bro. Come back to me and comment down below. You and your little Andre Drummond guarantee. Do it, bro. I'm up for the challenge. That is my bonus sell high. Not now, but next week. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Carl, is there anything else you fantasy related you'd like to share?
Fantasy related? Pick up Jayshawn Tate. He's still not owned in enough leagues. I'm still disappointed at everybody who hasn't done it yet. We have been screaming his name from the rooftops. Like almost the entirety of the show has existed. And here we are still with what? He's owned in 26.5% of leagues. Go grab him now. I know for a fact there's some of you guys watching this that don't have him. Grab him. That's my closing statement.
All right. That's a good one to end it on. I personally, collectively with Carl, would like to say thank you to everybody that has stuck around to watch this entire video. You guys doing that really helps out the algorithm, really pushes us to some other people. So we really appreciate you. We really appreciate all of our subscribers, all the people that like and comment. We love talking to you guys. We get so many comments about rosters now and who you guys should pick up, and we love it. And especially now that it's expanding to other platforms, man, that shit's so cool. So yeah, we really appreciate you guys. We're this close to 250. Our goal is to reach 500 by the end of the basketball season. So if you are not subscribed and you're listening to me right now, and even if you don't even like the content that much, will you do us a huge favor? And will you hit the subscribe button? It means more to us than you know. We really appreciate all your guys' support. Carl, you want to send it off, man?
Yeah, also just kind of adding on to what Tyler said, if you guys also, for the guys who are subscribed and make videos, one friend. Just get one friend, one person. You never know how far it goes. Just get one person, let them know what's going on here. You have to know one other person that's in, maybe in another fantasy basketball league, or if not, if they just love the game of basketball, just take a look at what we've been doing here with fantasy basketball this week, District of Buckets. We've got a lot going on. It's a fun time for everyone. Spread it to one person. Maybe they like it. Maybe they don't. Who knows? But a lot of times people who tune into what we have tend to stay. So just try to spread that word. It really means a lot. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, use us as trade bait. Like if you're trying to prove the worth of some guy, you're like, hey, these YouTubers say that this guy's worth it. Or these YouTubers say that my guy's not that good. So trade bait. Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for watching so much. We really mean it. We asked for a couple of you guys to inquire about being sponsors, promoting your stuff on the channel. We had a couple requests. They didn't want to follow through really. But we're still looking, and we are very, very cheap, and we're good guys. We're cool guys to work with. So if you're looking to promote anything that you have, any brands, any music, any whatever, we're happy to do it. You guys are our family, our community, and we think it's really cool that we can kind of grow this community together. With that being said, this has been another episode of Fantasy Basketball This Week, presented by District of Buckets. Peace.
Peace out.